this is a guy then. And as you can see from the small little teaser trailer, it looks like in the end of this month, we are going to have the next expansion to Wartales. And I just wanted to add my comment to it. Obviously, I don't want to clickbait this and say, like, this is everything we know so far, which is really not that much. They haven't said much. And I don't think there's enough details in the teaser to give us fundamentally a huge idea of what we're looking at. But what I can see is probably an attempt for you to have like more of a permanent resident that's going to be your own. And what it appears, at least from the splash page, there's a guy, there's some blueprint, and some kind of ability to build onto the castle. How that's going to be, if that's going to actually be a mechanic where you just get the material, add it. We can always look at, for example, the taverns, and we can always look at those outposts, those trade posts. That is pretty much how it is. You see some kind of construction work, you pay them, and voila, you have your stuff. You have your trade post, and you have your tavern pieces, and then you can just build and do things within the tavern. So my assumption is, at least at the minimum, you are going to be able to hire or build areas that then it's going to be like built up in your castle. And if you've seen from the castles before, some of them have like maybe a smith or maybe something else, right? So I can assume from the mechanics that are already in place, and we don't necessarily going to see tremendous amount of new features, is that there are going to be ways for you to be a lord of a castle, and then through the materials and the money that you have, you are going to be able to build out different features, maybe adding those things until you pretty much have, I don't know, a city around you. But it might not be an outright city, but more or less like what the latest one, not the latest DLC, but the one, the Skelmar invasion, where you had some siege features, but you also have a little bit of a larger type castle. So that's what I more or less assume that we're going to see, just based on the mechanics. I don't think they are developing a lot of tons of new mechanics just in order to fill out the game so you can see it build over time. It will probably be similar to what you have right now. You add a material, builds up, boom, done. I'm not even sure if you're going to see an actual change on the castle, but it would be cool to have another tower or something like that. But that is what we see and know right now. So is this going to be more like a feature like the Tavern update, where you are pretty much playing the game, but you also have an option to jump back to the castle and do some stuff there? Don't know. I am curious about it, though. Now, in my mind, I have a thought about how can this play out without seeing necessarily this teaser. And I felt that maybe it would be something like a Skelmar invasion, in the sense that you have an area that you have to free, and then as part of that, you're lord of this castle, a fief of this castle, or something like that. So that's the interesting part. We don't know if this is going to be a new region. I haven't seen any report of that. It might be an existing thing within the region that you take over. Maybe this just plays off of the last update with a Skelmar invasion, as opposed to anything in between with a monster, right? It's not a bad idea. The question, of course, is that how early can you get into this? Is this going to exist both in where all the difficulty increased by level, or if this is where if you start in a specific region and then build from there, and that region is going to be low, mid to high level. In fact, we don't even have a detail if there are going to be any more classes or anything like that, or for that matter, a profession, right? But I think this is an interesting take. And if you are going to start fresh with anything, it would really be cool to kind of, in your mind's eye, get an idea how you can, okay, I'm going to start one of those things where everything is tied to a level. And that way I can quickly get into the whole fiefdom thing, depending on, of course, what the mechanics are in order for you to become a lord of this castle. And then from there, it would make then sense to start in that area so you have all the resources tied from there on. If this is going to be more of an end game thing, which makes sense given the fact that you work yourself up to be, a lord of the castle, so to speak, that can also be interesting and a perfect way to end it. But then you need a little bit more than that. You need a little bit larger perspective. If you're going from the tactical level of doing your mercenary group and then becoming a lord of a castle, then you're talking about armies, right? And then you need a whole different mechanics. And that's why I don't think necessarily we're going to see massive amount of mechanics. Now, there are some people from the community that have beta tested this or alpha tested or whatever that were invited to test it. And I'm sure they know exactly what's going on, but probably under an NDA not to say anything. So we'll find out. Or maybe I just missed all those wonderful comments from people telling you exactly what it is. And here I am making a video out of complete ignorance. That can happen too. I've been busy lately. That's just how it is. But yeah, I like the little small teaser. I would assume soon we're going to see a full trailer and get a little bit better idea. And I'm probably going to come back to it at that time. But so far, I have a piqued interest. I love Wartales' tactical system. I like the whole world. And when they came out with the last survey of what people wanted, for me, I want more story. One of the things with Wartales, as they have released things, is that there's such a rich area, but they all feel self-contained. Every single region that you go to feels like a mini area, but you don't have an overall arc of what's going on and a larger perspective of a goal or a storyline. I feel it's missed the opportunity to truly bake in a good story. And for that, I really hope that they are going to start adding those features. It probably gets a little bit more difficult, though. And the reason is, of course, once you have baked the cake and you start adding a little bit cookies on the side, it's going to be hard to get the full meal out of it. So they're going to have to rewrite things in order to reintroduce stories in a story kind of mode. It can happen, but that gets a little bit more difficulty. I do believe they are attempting, especially with the free DLC that dropped, to add a little bit more flavor to each class so it feels like they're a little bit more special. But I'll be honest with you, when I ran that and I made a video about the different items that you have, and I ran a little bit at that point to see if any of the ones that you can pick up. So in the first area, you can pick up that guy that is infected and he's like an axe guy, right? And in the region next to that, you also have one that is pretty much about to be burned at the stake. You liberate her. She is a kind of a ranger dude, right? She's a ranger character. But none of them really got anything special. I checked back to the ones that I already had gotten on my high-end unit, and I didn't see any difference. So I honestly don't know just how much that actually turned out to be true. I did not find a lot of differences. I didn't play it a truck ton, so maybe there are really a huge difference over time when you start picking up new people. So, not that it's bad or anything. I just feel that it's still missing a layer to connect back to you guys so they feel a little bit more special, right? But who knows? Maybe this is just how it should be. A little bit more anonymous, where you don't necessarily feel that your guys need to be anything special. But if you are playing it in an iron mode kind of settings where you do live with the consequences of some of the mercenaries actually dying in combat, it would feel probably a little bit deeper or feel more meaningful if they actually had personalities to it and not just traits per se, but there was something more. There is a certain depth to this game in the sense that you can form bonds between different characters or even the dislike, but it's not really touched on other than maybe adding some stat bonuses or some stat debuffs. It never really go deeper than that, and it's unfortunate. I think this game would probably be a little bit better if you had a story, an overarching story to bind it all together. In the end, Fief might just be what tops the crown, or so to speak, the whipped cream on top of the latte, or whatever metaphor you want to use. Maybe that just ties everything together. So you have a humble beginning all the way up to being the Lord, and have to defend that against hordes. Who knows? I really don't know if there's anything planned after this. If I remember it correctly from what we have as far as the rollout for this year, I don't know if there was anything after that other than maybe a free DLC perhaps. But who knows? I'm looking forward to it. I am curious about how they're going to tie everything together and where this fit in. The monster one was really tying up what was already part of the main game. And it's good. I felt that just left it hanging, and it's good that they really tied that piece up. And I will see how this fits in, if this is going to be something after Scalamar Invasion, as a continuation, or if it's just going to be something like the Tavern piece, which was if you want to. If the Fief is going to be the same kind of thing, that's just something you switch over to do while you're out there doing your thing as a mercenary. Who knows? But I'm looking forward to it, and we will find out September 25th how this all fits together. And hopefully we're going to have a full trailer soon. That way we can get a little bit more details, and I'll probably make a video then too, doing some major speculations on stuff that might actually be known already. So you have a great day. I hope the rest of your life is awesome, or the rest of summer. Well, this fall more now, but who knows? Summer seems to be us lasting out till October nowadays. And they are strange times, but I hope you ride through them just fine, wherever you are. And as I always say, until we meet again, adieu.